36 Seconds is a series produced by Black Heart Association based on the fact that every 36 seconds someone dies from heart disease. This series aims to highlight the devastating effects heart disease and stroke have on the Black family. Listen in to these stories of love, loss, and survival.
I met the love of my life when I was 14, probably about September 1994. I met him at church, Prison Valley Baptist Church in Fort Worth. Me and his cousin are still best friends. We were at that time, and she had brought him to our annual Family and Friends Day, and he asked her later on if she would get my number for him, and she asked me. I said, yeah, sure, I guess I'll talk to him, and then the rest is history. We didn't do it the normal way. We had a child first, 17 years old. Our oldest, Stephanie, she's 23 now. So I had her my senior year. Then we got married 3 years later, 2000. And then we had 2 more kids. Then 2015, we got a divorce. We actually separated in 2014. I found out he was cheating again. It was not the first time, it was the second time actually. So we separated, and during that separation time, I just decided that it was just something that I no longer wanted to continue. You know, if he wanted to entertain other women, then he would have to entertain them without me being married to him. And I felt like especially with girls, that I would be, if I stayed, I would be teaching them that it's okay to be treated any kind of way, and for a man to just still do what he wanted to do even though he was married. And even with a son, it's still teaching him the same thing. So decided to divorce him. It was a hard decision, but I made that decision when I no longer was angry and upset. I was at peace with it. He was a good guy that just, I guess, what made a bad decision. For me, it took me a while to get there. I would say probably, so we divorced in 2015. I would say really about a year it took me to be able to completely forgive him for, I guess, what I felt like destroying our family. The unforgiveness part, you know, we didn't talk, we couldn't communicate at all. We would always argue about something. If it wasn't nothing, it would be something. So it wasn't until the point where I had to completely forgive him and even forgive myself. Because I always felt like, even though I felt it was a good decision, I still had to forgive myself too. And then once we got to that place, then we could be better co-parents and friends. I would say about really 2016, 2017. We were just able to like be the people that we were at 14, like friends. We could talk, hang out. He could still, even though we were divorced, my family would still invite him to family functions. So we could still just coexist in the same place without fighting. And we still went to church together too throughout the divorce. So I would see him probably once a week. So it was just a peaceful place. So leading up to his death, it was a little shaky. It would be rocky every now and then because he would still want to be controlling of my life, of everything that I did. But then he wouldn't want me to live my life, but he wanted to live his life the way he wanted to. Probably, I would say a couple of weeks or about 3 weeks before his death, we got into an argument and we stopped talking for about a week. And then we started talking again, and I think that was, for me, which I didn't know, it was God's way of preparing me, because we talked like every day. We hung out, We would be on the phone a couple of hours. And then we even got to the place where we talked about getting back together, going to counseling. And we were in a much better place. I believe it was the right decision because I believe that it helped him become an even better man that he was, and me as a better woman. But I really do believe it was the right decision. So I go back to Friday, the day before. So Friday, we talked on the phone, hung out. So he went to a wake Friday night, and he called me on the way to the wake, or on the way back from the wake, and said that he was gonna go home. He was tired, and that he would call me Saturday because he wanted to go get something looked at my car. So I told him, okay. He said, I love you. I told him I love you too. Talk to you tomorrow. So normally, because I was working 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., so normally I would turn my phone off and put it on Do Not Disturb. But little Steven also kind of wasn't feeling good, so I said, I better not do that. So it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. My phone rings. It's Shannon. And she's crying hysterically, saying something's wrong with her daddy. I need to put my clothes on and come over there now. So I get up, I jump up, put my clothes on. I get in the car. I just ask this dial 911. Okay, I'm on my way. I don't ask no questions. So as I'm driving, I'm praying. I'm driving fast, I'm speeding. It was raining. So I get there, I pull up, the ambulance is there. I immediately go in the house, and I just look for Shannon and Steven. I find him. Still don't really ask what happened. And then I just ask the ambulance what hospital are they going to. They tell me they're going to take him to Mansfield Methodist. So we get in the car, we drive there. I saw him in the back of the ambulance. I did, briefly. I didn't have a thought. I didn't know. They were not upset. They had been crying, I could tell. But they were more so just worried about what's going on. So we get in the car, we drive to the hospital, and we beat the ambulance there. And it takes them a good minute to get there. So I believe in my heart, I knew something was wrong. Probably thinking this can't be it. And if this is, what am I gonna do with 3 kids by myself? But I'm staying calm to not upset my kids, because I didn't want them to be worried about what was going on. So finally they arrive, and then a doctor comes out and basically says they have done all that they could do for him. And I go back to the room, and he was just laying there with tubes, and they tried to do CPR while we were in there, and it was nothing on the monitor. At that moment, I had to go back and tell my 2 children that their father was gone and wasn't coming back. I think that was probably the hardest thing for me to do at that moment. And then I also had to call my daughter and tell her he didn't make it. So at that moment, a lot of things are going through my mind. I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm hurt, a lot of different emotions. But then I don't know where it comes from, but I pulled it together and I had to take care of my kids. It was not about what I was feeling, but more so about what they would be dealing with. I really don't even think from the funeral, that whole week, I'm gonna really say, most of the time that I cried or it was in private, but when I got to the funeral again, it wasn't about my feelings. I just wanted to be strong for my kids. And I really would have to say, as I thought about it, I regret from the funeral not really showing my emotions. Because I felt like if I showed them my true emotions, I would be judged. If I didn't, I was going to be judged regardless. But it still was just about my kids, being strong for my kids. It's not really for them to understand my tears, but my tears come from have never loving anybody else but Steven. Just because we were divorced, I never stopped loving him. And it was 25 years. I know no other man but him. I was 14 when I met him, and I was 39 when he passed away. So that's 25 years of my life spent with one person. So it's really not for me to explain to other people, because now I'm at a point where I don't care. My tears are my tears. It's my hurt. It's my pain that I have to deal with. And we were in a really good place when he passed away. We talked about a lot of things. We made future plans. So my tears are genuine tears because I loved him. I still love him. So it really isn't for anybody to understand. I'm normally a person that keeps everything in to myself. I don't share with anybody. And I can't really say that with Steven's passing, it softened my heart. It made me realize that life is short and you need to live each day as if it's your last, with no regrets, no apologies, and not making anyone else happy but yourself. I really didn't learn anything. He said that he had no idea and that Steven presented no symptoms of having any heart issues, and that if he had any symptoms, then yes, he probably would have sent him to a cardiologist, but he feels as if he treated Steven to the best of his ability. Official cause of death is hypertensive heart disease. He had high blood pressure. He had been taking high blood pressure medicine since he was 25. Well, I guess would not be my first time experiencing heart disease, but it has made me more aware of issues. I'm more conscious. I'm always telling people make sure they go to the doctor. If I hear anybody saying they have high blood pressure, I tell them make sure you go to the cardiologist to get that checked. And I'm just making sure that I learned a lot after Steven passed. Actually, I learned that he had a few other family members in his family on his mom's side that had heart issues. And I just wish that maybe those conversations had been had prior so that maybe his life could have been saved.